Welcome to Tech News of the Week with your host, Too Many Flagons of Dwarven Honeymead.
Welcome to Tech News of the Week. This is our weekly tech news podcast where Chris and I go over 4 interesting stories that caught our eye in the news. And we've got a news segment this week because, Chris, we got feedback. Someone listened to our show and had things to say.
All negative.
Surprisingly not. They did want to know.
Oh, so you didn't get my email?
Oh, no, I got that one. I got them all, Chris. Daily is a little too much, a little overkill. So I won't say the person's name because I didn't get clearance for that, but they said that we talked about the deprecation of NTLM in Windows 11, and they were curious if that was LM, NTLM, and NTLM v2, which, okay, you've gone beyond my knowledge, but awesome. But he mentioned that deprecating NTLM v2 would break a lot or all peer-to-peer SMB functionality. So that could be pretty dangerous. So if you are out there and the NTLM is about to be shut down in your organization, maybe check in if you're using SMB anywhere. I guarantee you probably are. And thank you to that listener for the feedback. That's awesome. If you want to leave feedback, go to pod.chaoslever.com. You can leave a voicemail or just send us a friendly message. On to the news. Chris.
NIST releases new version of SP 800-171. It has been 2 years in the making, but it's finally here.
Woo!
NIST Special Publication 800-171 Release 3, or R3 for short, was finalized and released a few weeks ago. Now, I know,
Whew.
the excitement is overwhelming you.
I got the vapors.
Got the vapors. The security requirements in R3 have been, quote, streamlined and, quote, clarified. In parlance, this means that the previous requirements were more general, kind of abstract, which some thought was a gap that left the requirements a little too open for interpretation. So R3 brings in an auditor's dream scenario. Specificity, baby. As per the NIST press release, quote, the increased specificity in Revision 3 continues to allow for flexibility in implementation, but also aligns security requirement language with the control language in SP 800-53, unquote. So yeah, that's another thing. R3 is now a lot more like 800-53, which is good, as according to NIST, 800-53 is the authoritative source for these security requirements anyway. R3 also introduced the concept of ODPs, which was another thing taken from 53, and these basically allow you as an organization to be more specific about what security controls apply and how, depending on your company's situation and risk profile. All of this is confusing, I know, and making auditing confusinger for things that use 800-171 as a bedrock, such as CMMC and DFARS. But it's also necessary. 800-171 Release 2 was old, and it needed these updates. R3's significant changes include ones around cryptography, software usage policies, MFA, supply chain risk, and documentation, everybody's favorite. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Crack open that PDF today. It's only 120 pages, but like a third of that is appendices, so happy reading.
And no one reads those anyway. And how did you not make the obvious naughty by nature joke?
Because I'm not obvious.
Obstinate, yes. Obvious, maybe not. The news of Tape's death is much exaggerated. By me, mostly. Sometime in the halcyon days of 2016, when I had nary a care in the world, I claimed that Tape was dead. Why? Because of cloud and optical media, and a bunch of other equally irrelevant reasons. Truth was, I had a chip on my shoulder from bad disaster recovery experiences, waiting hours for tapes to recover data only to find out that the tape cassette was bad. I wanted Tape to be dead, and yet it has remained amazingly resilient. Case in point is the annual LTO program media shipment report from HPE, Quantum, and IBM. In 2023, they shipped 152.9 exabytes of new media, an increase of 3.14%, nice, over 2022. The report attributes the continued growth to, ironically, the cloud hyperscalers, who have long retention periods, no shortage of data to store, and no need to keep it on spinning Rust. Amazon Glacier and Azure Archive are both rumored to rely heavily on tape-based storage for long term. Another possible factor is the growth of AI, which, as we'll cover in the main episode this week, requires absolutely ludicrous amounts of training data and produces equally large amounts of generated data as well. The current generation of the standard is LTO-9, which promises 45 terabytes of compressed storage per cartridge and 1 terabyte per second transfer speeds. The data density, combined with the lower cost of media, makes tape an attractive solution for certain data storage needs, despite how I may feel about it personally. Maybe it's time for me to give up my grudge, finally embrace tape in all its awful, messy glory, and maybe I'll start believing that ketchup belongs on hot dogs. It's not going to happen.
This is America. We put ketchup on everything, and mayonnaise, and cheese.
Ugh.
Now I'm hungry. What was the question? Massive botnet taken down by the Treasury Department for some reason. I know, right?
Was Nick Cage involved?
This is like learning that the Secret Service was created to chase down forgers, only backwards. Or maybe sideways. I'm not sure. I've been dancing on the ceiling for far too long. For nearly a decade, there has been a dark web service called 911S5, which sold completely anonymous access to a literally uncountable number of Windows systems all over the United States to bad actors who wanted to do whatever. The service was, if you can believe it, mainly used by people who wanted to A, hack things, and B, disguise where they were going and or where they were coming from, primarily to A, again, hack things. This base of compromised servers was built by what should seem like a simple con to avoid. They basically promised these Windows users free access to VPN, which, to be fair, they actually did provide free access to VPN. They also just sort of provided that other part where all the crimes happened for basically a decade. The Department of Justice, in cooperation with the Treasury Department, announced that they had arrested Yuni Wang as a criminal conspirator using the network to run fraudulent insurance claims, pandemic relief fund scams, economic injury disaster loans, and that sort of thing, which I guess is why the Treasury Department was involved, because money.
Yeah.
A number of other Chinese nationals have been named and or sanctioned as a part of this effort, so clearly the investigation is not over yet. I don't know, man. It was not a bad day's work for the Treasury Department.
I am personally shocked. Some Apache project with a weird name is being actively exploited. Okay, quick quiz, hotshot. Which of the following is not an actual project under the Apache Foundation? Batik, Axion, Flink, Juno, or Carafe? Trick question. They're all Apache projects, and I've never heard of any of them. Good Lord. If you thought the CNCF landscape was cluttered and ridiculous, just take a stroll through the Apache projects list. It reads like bands from a playlist of a 90s college alt-rock radio station. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it would appear that one of these projects, probably several, but one in particular, Flink, has been flagged by CISA as being actively exploited in the wild through a vulnerability called CVE 2020-17519. Now, as implied by the CVE number, this possible exploit has been known about since 2020 and actively exploited since 2021, according to security researchers. The vulnerability was addressed in January of 2021 with newer versions of Flink. Cool. So why is CISA just now issuing an advisory to their known exploited vulnerabilities catalog? The exploit allows for unauthenticated access to the file system being used by Flink's job manager, and that's
Bad?
bad.
Bad.
That's the one. Bad. One has to wonder if some government agency recently got dinged by the exploit, and now CISA is issuing broad advice to all departments to get with the program and patch their shit, no matter how esoteric. If you hear about a government agency having a massive leak of documents in the next few weeks, don't be surprised. Just in general. All right, that's it. We're all done. Go away now. Bye.